All right, then. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is January 17th, 2021. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in Albany and also remotely. We have in attendance Chairman Bradley by telephone.
Yes, I'm here.
We have Commissioner Ford and Commissioner Fan both participating by video. Staff in attendance, we have General Counsel Meyerhoff by video. We have Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts by telephone.
I'm on, thanks.
And myself, Secretary Downey, in the authority's Albany offices. There are 6 items on today's calendar. There are requests from Counsel's office for emergency orders of summary suspension. The first item I have is agenda number 00120JJ. It's Bronx OP 135308, Lupita Villa Corp.
Good afternoon, members. This is Kayla O'Donnell on behalf of Counsel's office. On January 15th, SLA investigator Pardo visited the licensed premises located in New York City and observed 6 patrons dining in a fully enclosed dining area. This area is made with wood and enclosed with vinyl on 3 of the sides, and the 4th side is the structure of the wall of the premises. So basically, if you had a box with 3 sides and you pushed the area where there was no side up against the building, that's how this structure has been designed. So it is fully enclosed. This license was previously suspended after executive order violations were observed on July 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 31st. The licensee accepted the full board's counteroffer and paid the $30,000 fine on October 8th. The licensee indicated in its CNC that the sole principal would be present and would ensure no further violations would be committed. However, on January 15th, the same manager who was present during all of the prior violations was again present, and the principal was not there. Since this licensee has been serving patrons in an indoor dining area on January 15th, when indoor dining has been prohibited in New York City since December 14th, this licensee has violated Executive Order 202.81 and has failed to supervise the premises. The SLA has given this licensee plenty of chances to operate in compliance with the executive orders. However, the licensee continues to violate them and cannot be trusted to operate while these charges are litigated. These executive orders were designed to limit the spread of COVID-19. Since the licensee has shown an inability to comply with these orders, an emergency order of summary suspension is required to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the patrons, employees, and their families. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
What day did they pay the $30,000?
October 8th.
Thank you, Kayla.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
Kayla, what were their violations the last time? Was indoor dining one of them?
No, it was not. It was various violations of standing while consuming outside in front of the premises. They had some mask violations. Most of it was 202.38 and 202.43, 202.16, as well as numerous fire, health, and safety violations.
Thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
With that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
It's definitely disappointing to find out that this licensee is not meeting his obligations that he told us. He's continuing to violate the government.
Commissioner Fan, you're breaking up a little bit. Commissioner Fan? Commissioner Fan,
I hate to do this. I'm gonna have to summarily suspend for a second time. And should I file from the top? Due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, summarily suspend. Let me dial in.
all right, we've got your vote in, so you got, we do have your vote in for this matter. So. Commissioner Ford?
It's disappointing.
Do you want me to dial in
see
phone,
same place
Tom?
again with this licensee, but I don't think there's any other choice but to vote to summarily suspend.
All right, Commissioner Fan, we got your vote. Some of your rationale was broken up a little bit. We did get your vote on the record. If you want to now dial in, that's fine. We can proceed with the other matters with you dialing in, but I'll finish up the vote here. Chairman Bradley?
I vote to summarily suspend. It's clear
Okay.
this license. I vote to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee continues to be a threat to the public health, safety,
Okay.
and welfare.
All right, we're just going to pause for a second while Commissioner Fan reconnects with us.
Welcome to WebEx. Enter your access code or meeting number followed by pound. Your entry 1799 is not valid or the meeting has not started yet. Please enter your access code. Your entry 1.
Commissioner Fan, it sounds like your computer is still on too. Why don't you log out and just start back over again?
Commissioner Fan, I'm not sure if you're hearing us, but Commissioner Ford's suggestion is that you log out. There we go.
I'm gonna try this, Tom.
All right, and that's much better. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right then. All right, so we've concluded the first matter. We're going to move on to the second matter, which is agenda number 00120KK, Suffolk HL 1045896. The licensee is Rod and Real Hotel Corp.
Good afternoon, members. Kayla O'Donnell again on behalf of Council's office. Last night, task force investigators visited the licensed premises, which is located in a yellow zone in Suffolk County. They observed 2 tables of 6 patrons, whereas the maximum is 4 patrons per table in a yellow zone. The tables were not 6 feet apart, and as the photos in the record before you depict, there were also several unmasked patrons who were standing about. The bartender was observed wearing his face covering on his chin instead of his face, and the owner was seen pulling his face covering down during the visit. The investigator noted that the owner, sole principal Terrence Beglain, seemed to be intoxicated and told the investigator that he didn't know what a yellow zone was and that he's not able to control his patrons. Given the violations observed last night, the licensee is being charged with violating Executive Orders 202.16, 202.41, 202.68, and failure to supervise. Importantly, this is the licensee's 4th strike. The first strike occurred on August 16th when the task force observed patrons standing and playing pool inside the premises. The owner was present when these violations were being committed. The licensee was charged with violating Executive Order 202.41 and failure to supervise and pled not guilty on December 8th. The second strike occurred on November 14th when 9 patrons were observed standing and consuming alcoholic beverages by SLA investigator Pope. The licensee's principal was again present and was warned that this is in violation of the executive orders. The licensee was again charged with violating Executive Order 202.41 and failure to supervise and pled not guilty on December 11th. The third strike occurred on December 29th after the task force observed the bartender wearing his face covering down on his chin and patrons standing consuming at the bar. The licensee was charged with violating Executive Order 202.41, 202.16, failure to post pregnancy and prohibited sale signs, and failure to supervise. The licensee has not yet submitted a plea in that case. This licensee clearly cannot be trusted to follow the executive orders, jeopardizing the health, safety, and welfare of the patrons, employees, and their families, and that these are the people that these executive orders are designed to protect. In consideration of them, an emergency order of summary suspension is required. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. I would just add that in addition to there being multiple strikes here, the fact that the owner admitted that he didn't even understand what a yellow zone restriction was and appeared intoxicated during the visit adds to the concern that the licensee can't be trusted to operate in this highly restricted environment in a way that will help protect public health and safety.
All right, Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, I don't have questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
Kayla, when was this place licensed?
They've actually been licensed since 1989.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
It's clear that this licensee is not going to follow the governor's orders surrounding COVID-19 and preventing the spread of COVID-19, especially now in the Hamptons Bay area and most of Suffolk County. The numbers are continuing to rise, and it's a result of licensees that are irresponsible like this. And so on the fourth strike, it's very unfortunate this location continues to be an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm going to vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I also vote to summarily suspend this licensee.
Chairman Bradley.
Based on counsel's presentation and the evidence submitted, I vote to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, the next item I have is agenda number 00120LL. It's New York OP 1027729. Licensee is Mary K. Mack, Inc.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Michael Amarato from the Office of Counsel, and I respectfully submit the subject licensee Mary K. Mack, Inc. to the members of the board to consider an emergency order of suspension of their OP license pursuant to 401 subsection 3 of SAPA. The license was issued on March 27th, 1991 to operate as a bar tavern. The premises is located at 221 Dyckman Street in New York City. And last night, on January 16th, at approximately 6:10 p.m., the SLA task force conducted an inspection at the licensed premises. The investigators observed an outdoor dining structure which was fully enclosed with an enclosed roof as well. One side of the structure faced the restaurant, and there was a door which led to the inside of the restaurant. And all of that is depicted in the photographs that were attached to the investigation report. While the investigators were there, they observed 17 patrons dining inside the structure, sitting at 6 tables. Every table had a hookah pipe, according to investigator, and the tables were not 6 feet away from each other. They were much closer than that, as it's depicted in the photographs. And as I said earlier, some of the patrons were actually smoking hookah as well. The licensee has been charged with violating the governor's executive orders 202.81, 202.3, failure to comply with unlicensed hookah establishment, permitting smoking in an unlicensed hookah establishment, and failure to supervise and an unauthorized trade name. There are no prior executive order violations in connection with this establishment. But the board should also note that previously charged in a non-EO case, the licensee was charged once before for an unauthorized trade name and for having hookah pipes inside the premises. And when the inspectors or the police were there, they observed the manager actually smoking hookah. And that's all outlined in Notice of Pleading 139020, which is dated 12/27/19. We did receive a not guilty plea, and that case is currently pending. In addition to that case, there was 3 other pending matters. One, which is quite substantial, the licensee paid $12,000 for unlicensed security guards, for being overcrowded, purchasing from an unauthorized source, failure to conform to the license application for having a DJ, and for failure to maintain security guard records. Additionally, another case before that was for prohibited hours of consumption and failure to display the license. So within the past 5 years, the licensee has paid $13,500 in past civil penalties. Now, in connection with the EO violations that were observed last night, it is clear by the photographs and the report that the structure is not in compliance with the New York State Liquor Authority and Department of Health guidelines. It has a fixed roof, it's fully enclosed, and there was no open air areas at all. And as we know, 202.81 went into effect December 14th to protect the patrons and employees from the COVID-19. And obviously the licensee has chosen to ignore these restrictions and is willing to put the public at risk and ignore these restrictions. Clearly, this licensee is an imminent threat to the public safety, health, and welfare. And Council's office respectfully submits that the board summarily suspend this license. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, any questions? Commissioner Fan? Have we lost you again? I've got your video, Commissioner Fan.
She must be on a delay, Tom, and the connection's not there.
All right, that's Commissioner Ford. You have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, Commissioner Fan, can you hear me? All right, let's just take a second. Let me see if I can connect with Commissioner Fan here.
She's dialing back in.
Commissioner Fan, do we have you?
Yes, hi, Tom. I'm sorry about that.
Commissioner Fan, did you get a chance? Were you able to hear Mr. Amorado's presentation for this matter?
Yes, I heard everything. I don't know why you couldn't hear me all of a sudden, but I heard everything. Thank you. I don't have any
All right
questions.
then. All right, no questions then. Okay, with that then, I'll call for your vote, Commissioner Fan.
Okay. This licensee is clearly continuing to serve indoors and violating the governor's executive orders surrounding COVID-19 and continuing to allow smoking indoors and therefore creating imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I also vote to summarily suspend this licensee.
Chairman Bradley, your vote, please.
Based on council's presentation, I vote to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right then, the next item I have is agenda number 00120MM. New York OP 1151213. The licensee is Two Bikes LLC.
Good afternoon, Stephen Armstrong on behalf of Counsel's Office in support of the summary suspension of this licensee, which is doing business as Dudley's and is located at 85 Orchard Street in Manhattan in the Lower East Side neighborhood. This is an OP license with a method of operation as a restaurant. License was first issued in September of 2004. The conduct at issue here on January 15th, this past Friday, at approximately 7:45 p.m., investigators Clanton and Bryan of the Governor's Executive Order Task Force observed 3 enclosed outdoor dining structures in front of the premises while they were on patrol in that neighborhood. As the photos attached to the investigators report show, all 3 of these enclosures are constructed out of wood and plastic panels and have fixed roofs. All 3 structures had at least 3 sides fully enclosed. 2 of the structures had partial openings on one side for patrons to enter and exit. The other structure had one side that was fully open. The investigators observed a total of approximately 45 patrons dining inside these 3 structures. After making these observations, the investigators entered the premises itself and spoke to the individual in charge, Mr. Johnson, who told them that an investigator from the Department of Transportation had visited the premises earlier that night and had issued the same warning about the structures not meeting the requirements for outdoor dining. The conduct issue here is a clear violation of Executive Order 202.81, which went into place on December 14th and makes indoor dining in New York City unlawful. The Department of Health guidance on outdoor dining structures, which again requires that at least 2 sides of the structure be completely open, was issued, I believe, in June of 2020. So there's no excuse for the licensee to be unaware of these requirements at this point. This licensee has also been cited on multiple prior occasions for violations of other executive orders. On June 21st, investigators observed at least 10 patrons standing and congregating in front of the premises without observing mask or social distancing requirements. Subsequently, on September 2nd, investigators observed staff not wearing proper facial coverings, as well as patrons, again being permitted to stand and congregate in front of the premises in the same unlawful manner. So the licensee was clearly on notice that they needed to take measures to ensure that executive orders and associated guidance were being followed at the premises. Unfortunately, they continued to operate the premises in a manner that threatens the public health, safety, and welfare by putting its patron staff and the whole community at a heightened risk of exposure to the COVID-19 virus. And based on this record, I ask the members vote to summarily suspend this license pursuant to Section 413 of the State Administrative Procedure Act. Thank you.
Stefan, the 2 prior cases, were they charged?
Yes, both cases were charged.
I believe there was a CNC too.
Yeah, on the June 21st violations, there was a CNC submitted in August. The second case, the NOP, was issued in November. I believe a not guilty plea was submitted shortly after that.
And Gary, just so you know, we have your audio, but we don't have your video. All right, Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, thank you, Stefan.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
Stefan, when did you say they were licensed? I know you said it, but I missed it.
Yes, they were first issued a license in September of 2004.
Thank you. No further questions.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'm going to call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, this licensee is violating the governor's executive orders by allowing indoor service and therefore creating an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare. And I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I'm voting to summarily suspend this licensee as well.
All right, then, Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then, the next item I have is agenda number 00120NN. Queens OP 139126. The licensee is JW Cafe and Bar, Inc.
Good afternoon, members. This is Alexander Lloyd, counsel's office. The licensee, license was issued December of 2019. Counsel's office submits the licensee to the members of the authority for an emergency order of summary suspension pursuant to 4013 of SAPA. On January 15, 2021, Investigator Stravali, as well as the Vice COVID Task Force, visited the licensed premises. This was approximately 11:40 p.m. At first, when they stopped, two people approached the premises. They went inside. Investigator Stravali and the COVID Task Force attempted to enter the premises, but the door was locked, so they waited across the street. Later, a delivery person with 2 bags full of food approached the premises, went inside, and at that point, Investigator Stravali and the Vice Task Force followed the delivery person in. Upon entering, what they saw was one person, the delivery person with the food, another man who was there purportedly delivering delivery food. At the time when the individual who was purportedly delivering food learned that there was the investigation, that Investigator Stravali and Vice were there to inspect the premises, he dropped and then was promptly arrested for possession of ketamine. Additionally, there was another person in the basement of the licensed premises. This person was in an unauthorized karaoke room. On the table in that room was a bottle of Hennessy, as well as a bowl of peanuts. And last, there was a third person who, according to Investigator Stravali's report, did not speak English. Of these 3 people, only the person who was arrested for ketamine, that first male, was able to provide the investigator with any ID. None of these people, the 3 people already in the licensed premises, and then the delivery person, identified themselves as employees, owners, managers, along that list of the licensed premises. So all we can say are that they are individuals at this time, potential patrons or employees. Additionally, Investigator Stravali identified that the license was not conspicuously displayed behind the bar. He asked for any books and records from these individuals or the New York reopening plan and was not presented with any of those. Additionally, on the diagram for the premises, it states that the basement area will be used as an office and storage area only. The karaoke room in the basement is an unauthorized alteration. He also observed numerous fire code violations, including an obstructed fire extinguisher, unmounted fire extinguisher, extension cords being used as permanent wiring, and unsecured propane tanks. With all of this taken into consideration, clearly the licensed premises is not being supervised properly, especially when you take into account the fact that potentially these 3 people were there when no employees were even present. Additionally, there was a prior executive order case involving this licensee. The inspection occurred on 9/2/20. The licensee made an offer of $10,000. The full board reduced the fine to $5,000, and that reduction and approval was at the board meeting of January 6th. Concerning that executive order case, employees were not wearing face masks. There were patrons dining after 11 p.m., which is, you'll notice similarly here, these individuals were there on the premises after curfew. Additionally, there was the basement karaoke room, and as part of the CNC, they were told they needed to submit an endorsement application or alteration to have that approved, and none of that paperwork has been submitted yet. And there was someone utilizing the karaoke room, which clearly has now been made to the licensee has been made aware that that's not permitted. At this point in time, the licensee cannot claim to be unaware of any of the executive orders, the SLA guidance, or the DOA guidance. That's all been in place for months now. Furthermore, they've already had experience dealing with the unauthorized alteration for the karaoke room, people being at the premises after curfew, these sorts of executive violations, and the fact that they had these same executive order violations again is clearly just demonstrative of a failure to supervise the premises and a failure to be able to even follow these COVID-19 rules and regulations in the first place. These regulations are very important. They protect the public's health, safety, and welfare, and clearly permitting individuals to dine indoors goes against that. Therefore, counsel's office respectfully requests that the members summarily suspend this license.
Thank you, Alex. I guess the point here for the members is whether or not merely charging this location again will give the board any confidence that they will follow the law. And given that they just paid a fine or agreed to pay a fine for the exact same violations, and now we're open again when service is not even permitted inside, doing exactly the same thing, I think the answer is pretty obvious that the board cannot trust them to do so. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
Yes, Alex. So what you're telling me is that this location, as far as the investigator was concerned, was unsupervised during the inspection?
Yes, when they initially tried to enter, it was locked. After those 2 people entered, it was then locked again. It was only upon that time following right after when the delivery person went in that they were able to actually gain entrance. And upon doing so, none of the people inside identified themselves as employees, owners. So it seemed as though if they were, they either were not identifying themselves as that, which is problematic, or the licensed premises was truly unsupervised in that no employees or owners were there. So yes.
But the 2 people that entered, in theory, are not the girl that was singing in the karaoke room and the 3rd male who did not speak English. Like, those are bodies number 4 and 5, right?
No, as far as I understood from the investigator, the 2 people that entered right before the delivery person were 2 of those 3 people. So those were all of the people at the place. Yes.
Got it. Understood. Okay. And in theory, the delivery person was picking up takeout, like, or we don't know what he was doing.
So it, sorry, that was a little bit confusing. Yes. As far as the investigator understood, what happened was the delivery person was a genuine delivery person from another restaurant, and he was dropping off food for these people to eat. Yes. And when the investigator came inside, the person who was paying the delivery person then pretended to be a delivery person for whatever end. Yeah.
So the person who had the fumble with ketamine is the delivery person, or the person paying the delivery person?
Was the person paying the delivery person. So was someone actually at the licensed premises.
Okay, got it. I understand now. Okay, thank you. Sorry, just that the report wasn't, the language wasn't very clear. So thank you very much.
Sorry, yes. It was a bit of a confusing incident, I think, as well for the investigators.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Alex.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Tom, 1 second. Just for the record, while it may have been confusing based on statements that were made by a person who was about to be arrested for ketamine possession, what isn't confusing is that nobody identified themselves as being an owner, a manager, employee in this location. They were serving inside, and the rest. I think that's clear from the record. Thank you.
All right, then. Commissioner Fan, your vote?
Sorry, I just have one more question. The $5,000 is not paid yet, right?
Correct. The $5,000 was not linked to a summary or anything like that. So the $5,000 has not been paid yet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Fan, your vote?
This location continues to be a threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and now apparently operating with no management in sight, and it's really an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare this way, and therefore I'm summarily suspending this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote?
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I also vote to summarily suspend this licensee.
Chairman Bradley, your vote, please.
Based on counsel's presentation and the evidence submitted, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then the next item I have is agenda number 0012000, New York OP 1322041, Burgess Restaurant Corp.
Good afternoon, Alexander Lloyd again for counsel's office. Counsel's office submits to the members of the authority the subject licensee for an emergency order of summary suspension of its retail on-premises liquor license pursuant to SAPA. The license was issued 6/25/2020. On January 16, 2021, an SLA investigator at approximately 8:01 p.m. visited the licensed premises. Upon the visit, 2 fully enclosed structures were observed, one on the sidewalk abutted up against the building, and another in the street where the parked cars would be. The one on the sidewalk had 3 walls of wood and plexiglass, and then the 4th wall was up against the building. The one in the street had 4 walls of wood and plexiglass, and both had plexiglass roofs. The owner demonstrated on the one that was on the sidewalk that the plexiglass walls, the plexiglass part of the wall, was able to slide back and forth almost as similar to a window that slides sideways. However, they were all closed during the time of the visit. Inside each of these, 9 patrons were observed dining on the sidewalk one, and 7 patrons were observed dining inside the street enclosure. At this time in New York City, indoor dining is not permitted. These types of structures, which don't have any open sides and have fixed roofs, clearly create indoor dining situations. With that in mind, the licensed premises is clearly not being properly supervised. I think the pictures in this example are very clear. I think great pictures from the investigator's report. You can just see the sidewalk and the street structures. Additionally, there was a prior executive order case. It was no employee masks. There's a $1,500 CNC that is yet to be paid. At this point, the licensee cannot claim to be unaware of the executive orders and SLA and DOH guidance on this matter. It's been in place for over a month. And in fact, since the summer, when it goes back to what constitutes the structures with regard to the 2 open sides. Furthermore, the licensee has already violated and pled to an executive order violation, so they know they need to be following these executive orders, need to be aware of them as they're promulgated. The executive orders were designed and implemented to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and clearly the licensee cannot be expected and trusted to follow these executive orders. At this time, there is no more imminent risk to the public health, safety, and welfare than to permit people to dine indoors, which is exactly what's happening in this situation. Therefore, Council's office respectfully requests the members summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
Yes, Alex, you mentioned there was one other outstanding YO case.
It was a no employee mask case. Yes.
Okay, and what was the date on that violation?
Oh, so there was a $1,500 CNC submitted and approved. It just hasn't been paid yet.
Okay, and then there are no other inspections on the record?
No.
Okay. Can you tell me the date of that violation, of the no mask violation?
Actually, I don't have it in front of me at the moment.
Okay, that's
July 26th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Donahue.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
Tom, is that the date of the violation or the date the CNC was accepted?
Date of the violation.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'm going to ask for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee is continuing to violate the governor's executive order surrounding COVID-19 and by continuing indoor service. This location is posing an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare. I'm therefore voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I also vote to summarily suspend this licensee.
Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation and the evidence submitted, I vote to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, with that, Chairman, I have no other matters on today's calendar. Do you have anything else?
No, thanks, Gary. Thank all your people for all the work they did, and Tom, yours as well. And commissioners, thank you for getting on a Sunday. Have a good weekend.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.